We will now move on to our final session of the morning conference program, and I'm delighted to be joined here by two panelists stroke speakers who are going to give us short presentations, and then we'll move it into an open floor discussion. We are going to shortly be joined by Paul Bruton, who is Senior Consultant at Damarel. Here he comes now. Hello, Paul. Seeing you log on in a second. He'll be joining us very shortly. And whilst Paul is logging on, I will also welcome, if we can, yeah, there he is, Guillaume. Guillaume Crozier, who is DVP Operations and Product Development International Airport Operations at dnata. Hello, Guillaume.
Yeah, good morning, Max.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you.
Good to see you. I think Paul will just get Paul on in a second. The topic of our session today that you guys will be looking at is innovation. And we've heard a lot about this in the big debate panel, but what we can do to drive new ideas and efficiencies into our businesses in the supply chain. And particularly here, another thing that came through loud and clear in that opening debate was the huge opportunity for digitalizing a lot of what we do and driving the efficiency of the passenger process and our ability to manage resource like staff and equipment. So a massive opportunity presents itself with this pandemic. Hello, Paul. How are you doing?
Hi, good morning, everybody. Yeah, I'm good. Good to see you guys.
Good to see you too. Welcome back. That's Paul Bruton, as I mentioned earlier, Senior Consultant at Damarel. Paul is going to be giving a short presentation, as is Guillaume, and I think we're going to go underway with you, Guillaume, with the first presentation, and then we'll come to Paul, and then we'll move it to an open floor debate.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much, Max.
And we'll also get your questions, ladies and gentlemen, once we do that. So please think of those while we're going through the panel presentations.
Can you see that, Max?
Yes, correct.
Okay, good. Thank you very much.
Oh, I think we may have lost it, Guillaume. Oh, there we go. We're back. Would you be able to, I think you pop it, there you go, you're onto it already, get into present mode. There we go, perfect, thank you.
Bit of tech, yeah, thank you very much. And thank you for that opportunity. Good morning, everyone, once more time. Very pleased to speak on behalf of dnata organization about, this exciting topic, innovation. When it comes to innovation, I think like a lot of company, we got our roadmap and our plan before COVID. We were thinking, working on what to do, then the future, the dnata way of things, and we've done a couple of exercises. But as a matter of fact, what I want to say here is that COVID, pandemic, crisis, you name it, definitely accelerated tremendously everything we got in mind and we did on innovation, and not only. So it's a challenging time, but if we want to be optimistic and look at half full glass, actually, definitely one of the key upside was that actually we definitely focused much more on innovation, and we did accelerate it a lot. How do we organize ourselves as an organization, a global organization? Yeah, I want to share with you. That's really internal kind of things. While actually thinking about what should we do, assessing risk, thinking about mitigation, listening to our customer, trying to understand a bit the situation. You can imagine we got a lot of energy, a lot of emotion. It was not always easy to organize and articulate. And during one of our weekly call with the leadership team, David Barker, our CEO in the USA, which is really topical. It's not made up at all. This is really coming from him. Actually brought up that slide, which I find very good, actually, and topical. So maybe all of you know about McDonald's story and stories when it comes to the specific sandwiches that they started to produce and then scale. across their corporate network. We are following the same principle from the ground up, making sure we let our people from the field really do what they feel they should do. Also listening to their local customer, local stakeholder, sensing their own things, and then bringing ideas. And as we are a global organization, and we have matured a lot after growing our network in terms of processes, framework, we have as well the capacity to scale up and standardize, I think, a very good local ID and make it a global standard. So this is the way we do it, and I think that that's working quite well, as we've produced a lot of good things so far, mainly following and being inspired by situation and again our customer feedback. We are a one-stop shop organization, as you know, so we are working on various fields, including airport-related activity, ground handling activity, cargo handling activity. We have travel, catering as well. I am on the ground handling division side. And the why we do it, because I think that that's also very important to highlight it, are listed there. I think they are the key whys. Of course, looking for cost efficiency, looking for diversification, again, listening to our customer and trying to integrate our solution into their plan, their thoughts. Safety and operational excellence as a no-brainer. That's something which is really big for us, and maybe something new as well, popping up during COVID, building confidence block. We have a responsibility to play to bring kind of a normality in this industry. It's not easy for all of us. So anything we can do can help our industry to ramp up, the guests, the passenger to feel safer, and airline to fly their aircraft. We should do. To conclude, Max and everyone, you can see on this slide a small snapshot of what we've done beyond the talk. You can see actually that we've delivered, and maybe you know already a few of this. We've delivered already. I mean, some good stuff across the network. Some we were able to scale up and globalize, standardize. Some are a real success in their own space. But overall, this is a true reflection on dnata innovation journey. I will be more than pleased to detail a bit more each of them, but you can see that cleaning an aircraft, disinfecting an aircraft, the safety of the passenger is a strong topic. Disinfecting bag is a strong topic. Airline came with a new way of loading cargo with cargo in cabin. As we all know, we had to find a safe way to do it, to respond back to their needs. In Dubai last week, or a couple of weeks ago, we celebrated more than 5,000 flights being handled accordingly. We've made a lot of investments with a lot of supplier and partners on pharmaceutical handling with cool dollies, as you can see, and also investing on processes. And as we think about tomorrow and the new way of traveling, we definitely see the off-airport opportunities and also requirements growing up a lot. So I'm sure you heard about Dub's company, which is powered by dnata, focusing on off-airport solution, offering a real good service from home to aircraft, including bag checking. We can include PCR testing, you name it, and we see that there is a lot more to do on this, and that the passenger are looking for this. We do a lot of things on cargo. Safety is key. In the USA, we've implemented recently 360 cameras on all our pushback, which help tremendously the oversight and also to actually understand a bit more what's happening anytime we have an incident, if we have an incident. Thermal screening, very important, of course. We've all seen this big wave, and we keep thinking about next step to become more proactive on this. And I think I've heard the word data a few minutes ago. Definitely everything which can help us to increase the data touch point in a relevant way means you need to use then the data and work on the BI's report and then keep improving as you can. We look at that a lot. So I will say that's it for dnata as per the time we've been allocated to, and I will be more than pleased to answer any question if you have after. Thank you.
Guillaume, thank you very much. Very insightful stuff. If you do have a question through that presentation, just drop it in the Q&A forum there and we'll pick it up in a little while. But I'm now going to hand over to you, Paul, for the next presentation on this topic of innovation.
Okay, excellent. Thanks very much, Max, and thanks, Guillaume, for the insightful stuff on the hands-on items there. Can you guys see my screen?
Not yet, but hopefully we will do very soon.
Okay.
Not getting anything yet, Paul. I'm going to retry it.
Okay, let me see. Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
There we go.
Yeah, there we go. All right. Well, excellent. Thanks again, both, for that. Some very interesting stuff from Guillaume there on the practical hands-on aspects of how dnata have raised to the challenges of the COVID pandemic. In this section, we're going to take a look at some of the other challenges faced by the industry. Some of the common challenges faced by the GSPs across the patch, and how the flexible software solutions can help and adapt to meet some of these challenges. So for those of you who don't know us, Damarel are an aviation software company. We've been working in the sector now for a little over 30 years. And in that time, we've built up a portfolio of solutions particularly for the ground handling sector, all of them targeted at enabling process efficiency, reducing overheads, and increasing revenues. And I think all of those characteristics have become even more important during the pandemic as it has evolved. So what are some of the challenges that this whole thing has thrown up for us? Well, I think the concept of business as usual went out of the window almost a year ago now, with stable schedules, well understood processes, and rapid turnarounds, all sort of disappearing almost overnight. And that's thrown up a huge challenge for the industry to adjust and adapt their staffing levels, to adopt new processes, to introduce new services, and to keep pace with this change as it was happening almost on a daily basis was a very big challenge. So having some flexible, configurable solutions in place has helped a number of our customers around the globe deal with some of these challenges. And we'll take a look at some of the aspects of that and how they've dealt with some of these changes. So with the flight patterns changing, the schedules reducing rapidly, the flight programs changing almost on a daily basis, it became a real challenge for customers to constantly readapt their staffing levels to meet the ever-reducing and ever-changing loads. So having a solution like our demand planning component allowed a lot of our customers to rapidly re-plan their operation, to see very, very quickly what the impact of the latest information they just received for a few days ahead would mean, and it allowed them to react quickly to adjust the staffing required for the operation as it unfolded. So that had become quite an important characteristic, important tool to help on the staffing side thus far in the pandemic. But of course, now with upwards of 60% of the shop floor workforce lost due to the pandemic in certain areas, then the next challenge is going to come about. A rapid recruitment drive and reskilling exercise to then scale back up and meet the demands as the bounce back starts to occur. Sooner the better, as we all know. But again, that's not likely, I think, to happen as a big bang single exercise. That's going to be a staged, staggered approach as different airlines start to bring their volumes back up. And that's going to mean, again, a lot of change, a lot of variability in the shape and the size of the operation. So again, I think having the ability to rapidly look at these changes, particularly at this stage, to see what's coming and what you need to be focusing on first, perhaps on your recruitment drives and other plans for training and so on, is going to be key as things move forward. As well as obviously getting the staffing levels right, it's actually keeping it in an efficient operation. So being able to run our shift optimizer over the staffing requirement to see if we can get to the most optimal shift for efficient use of the staff, regardless of the size of the operation and how it's changing. I think that will be important as well. Another aspect that obviously the industry had to cope with, as well as the mechanics of the staffing, is the constantly changing SLAs. SLAs with your airlines were well established and set and well understood by all of the people involved. But as the changes occurred in the pandemic, resource levels dwindled, some of those SLAs were just not possible to meet. They weren't relevant at this point in time. And indeed, others were introduced and changed along the way. So one of the big challenges, I think, is how in such a changing environment, the industry can communicate the new processes, the new time points that need to be met on a per carrier and sometimes per aircraft type basis. Trying to do that via emails or paper trails takes time and a lot of admin. So again, having a turnaround management type solution in place where you can reconfigure the process very rapidly and have the next team to go and meet the flight, see what their new sequence of events and the new time points they need to adhere to is a very powerful capability. And I think one that will also be important as the ramp up continues as well. Another side of all of this, of course, one that is not always remembered is the financial side. And with the tightening of the revenue stream, keeping that revenue flow as rapid as possible to bring in the revenues as quickly as you can, especially at this time, is incredibly important. So the ability to issue accurate invoices on the day they become due, with all of the material needed for the airline to approve that invoice and issue the payment as rapidly as possible is very important. Looking at the growth of the e-invoicing platforms as well, that can further extend that or further speed up that process. With some of the platforms, you can issue your invoices through them, and at the airline side, they've automated the receipt of that invoice, electronically check and approve it, and cut payment almost immediately. So these additional routes to getting the revenues through can further speed up and improve that revenue stream. And what we've seen from our customers and indeed wider group of organizations is that they're taking this opportunity, this enforced quiet period, if you will, that the pandemic has brought about, to take stock, to look forward, and to see how they can adopt some of these technologies and solutions to help them manage the bounce back as the growth starts to continue. And looking forward again at other innovative solutions that we're bringing forth over the coming months. We've been working a lot on our allocations tools to help the efficient and effective deployment of the staff resources into the operation. We've also been working a lot on our mobility solutions to bring about more data delivery into the hands of the agents in the field, as well as a full offline mode for the device to be used in all locations. So hopefully some useful additions to the offering as we go forward. Thank you all for your attention. As for Guillaume's piece, if you have any questions on any of that, I'll be more than happy to try and answer them.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you very much. And yeah, just to echo that, if you want to drop any questions you have on based on what you've seen and what you've heard on this topic of innovation, just drop them into the Q&A icon and we'll tackle them. If I could also just load up our poll question on this innovation topic whilst Paul and I get things underway. Really interesting, some of the new developments you mentioned right at the close there, Paul, and just that issue of getting the right people in the right place. So I'll just put that down for a second, and how you do that and how your software would, how that plays out in reality at the station on the ramp. It'd be interesting to know a little bit more about it, because that's such a big challenge. You know, 1 minute, you know, perhaps a passenger flight was meant to come in, is cancelled at last minute. Then there's a Praetor landing, it's on the gate, and you need to get the right resource that was geared up for one type of flight to another. Can you just explain a little bit more about how the software would enable that?
Yes, absolutely. The assisted allocations piece, which I think you're referring to, Max, brings together all of the information that the allocator needs to proactively manage the resource around the changing shape of the operation. So it brings together the latest flight details, the details of the resources, the task requirements, and effectively allows the allocator to assign the resources to the tasks at hand for the different flights. Traditionally, this function would be quite reactive. So it'd be very much a case of the allocator sat in the crew room looking at the crew he's got in the office who he can use to go out on the next flight. And it was just seeing that few steps ahead without necessarily having the visibility of the bigger picture. So being able to look at the full operation, maybe the first wave or the whole day, to actually think ahead, to pre-allocate the teams to the flights as you see them, is the first step. But then, as we know, quite often things run off schedule, other things change. And under the bonnet, the system's detecting all of these alterations. Some things don't have an impact on the staffing, but if a flight comes in late and now the team on that flight had doubled up onto the one that's just moved, then the system's going to alert the allocator to these resource clashes so that they can take proactive, preemptive action to adjust the staffing on that flight to get it covered by somebody else. So it becomes quite a dynamic process. Two aspects, as I say, pre-allocation, so that you've mapped out the day as best you see fit, but then having that reactivity of the system to monitor the changes, bring the exceptions to the allocator's attention and allow him to deal with them on an as-case basis. But that can yield a much better, more efficient operation and staff utilization.
It's a catalyst to business agility, right? Which is what we keep hearing. It does allow you to be on your toes, adjusting and meeting the change requirements very, very swiftly.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Oh, good stuff. I'm not sure if we can get Guillaume back. He may have be on a call, and hopefully he can come back in, because I've got a question for him in a moment. Can I load the poll back up? Ah, there we are. Guillaume's back up. But if we do the poll quickly, if I can reload it, and I think this question we have is around the types of innovation that the market would like to see. We may have a technical issue with the poll. Oh, okay. Can the chairman manage it? He can. So my digital skills have been put to the test. Hopefully everyone can see that now. So the poll question is, in which business areas would you most like to see additional software IT support available to help you meet the challenges of the pandemic? 4 different options, or an other option if none of these fit the bill. So is it support around staff utilization that we've just discussed, Paul, and matching that workforce resource to volatile schedules? Would you like to see more support helping you manage COVID complexity, all those processes and protocols that come in around boarding and offloading of passenger bags? Is it more support around turnaround optimization with the change turnaround processes and demands? Is it more efficient invoice processing and collecting payment, which we heard from Paul about very briefly there, or is it something else entirely? So please have a look at those options. Where do you want to see the most IT support? Where would it help you most, software support? If you vote on those now. And Guillaume, really interesting, the comparison you made with McDonald's and that model of driving innovation from the shop floor. Be interested to know a little bit more about how you're going about doing that at dnata, and then I'll come from Paul. I'd be very interested to know what software he could see facilitating that process as to capturing those ideas. But over to you, Guillaume.
Thank you, Max. And I was with you guys. I was just kind of switching off my camera because I am still in the office, and we are really sustainable, you know, and given a certain time, switch off, you know, so you have to find a way. But yeah, I was with you, and absolutely, it was very good feedback from Paul. Yeah, I mean, the way we do it is really, we are walking the talk. So we have a decentralized leadership team, and our head office is really kind of across the network. So we are, of course, head office. We have a DSVP, Stewart and Gus, but we have regional CEO. And our regional CEO are part of our virtual head office. And definitely from a leadership viewpoint, they can drive at pace this innovation journey I was speaking about first. So leadership structure, I think, is key, and I think we have something which is fit for purpose. And then it's about coordinating, organizing SMEs group, facilitating, communicating, and I think now, like we do tonight, we are using much more those smart tools, and that's definitely working well. And last but not the least, from a process viewpoint, being agile. I mean, first, we need to accept that we might fail. It's about risk management, of course, and we are a risk-driven organization. So, I mean, we assess and we mitigate, and we go for the as low as possible. But sometimes you don't know everything, so accept that you have to take some risk, and start small. So if we do something good in one station, that's already a success. And maybe if we can scale it up and standardize, then that's good. But if not, that's fine as well. So agile, be small, humble, and last but not the least, make sure that what you do is what your customer expect you to do. So sometimes you need to think about out of the box, but also be quite practical and integrate your thought into your customer needs. So I will stop here just to leave the space to everyone.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Max.
I would just throw that across to Paul and say, look, if you are looking to capture that employee innovation, you know, how your software or systems might enable the management teams, the leadership teams to facilitate that process, because you've got to get the ideas raised and then considered and feedback, I guess, on what you are prepared to implement and what you're not.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we work very collaboratively with all our customers, and we quite often found wandering around on the shop floor, as Guillaume mentions, to see what's happening, to talk to the people who are actually using the systems, to actually see what would improve their lives, what would improve their process, what would make things easier for them in their function in a role-based manner. What information would be good for them to see, and to take that information and feed that back through into the life cycle of the product to make sure we're delivering the best solution we can to meet all of the different roles and responsibilities, which vary greatly from the senior management through station management, team leaders, ramp leaders, baggage loaders. Everybody has a slightly different slice of the pie, a slightly different requirement for the data they need to see to be able to do their job, the information they need to capture fill in the blanks in the bigger picture that the senior management need to look at. And I think Guillaume mentioned something earlier on as well about BI and big data, and I think that is becoming increasingly important across the sector. Being able to capture all of those touch points of the different information, some of which we touched on in my piece earlier, to consolidate that across the stations, across the network, and to start looking at trends, to start looking at the bigger picture. And I think very rightly, as Guillaume also pointed out, if something's being done right and being done well in a certain location, identify that, embrace it, and try and make it a standard and roll that across the network to bring those benefits to all locations.
Absolutely. And sort of the comparison that McDonald's, I think on the slide, it was talking about the lady who came out with the Happy Meal idea in Guatemala. And as a parent, the amount of Happy Meals that I've bought and the millions and billions across the world have bought, it just shows you one idea taken ownership and syndicated, as you say, Paul, can yield some huge benefits for the business. You've got your hand up, Guillaume, so I'll come to you.
Yeah, thank you, Mac. Just very quickly on what Paul's just mentioned, and we have the chance to use one of the Damarel tool, the turnaround tool in a couple of our stations. You mentioned about big data visibility. Something really important, the guys who capture the data, at the data checkpoint, what does he see as an end result? How does he understand why do I actually capture that data checkpoint? And I think the fact that we can, and that's something big for us, we can revert back with BI capability that all the businesses station can own, and they can really play with it and get their own view of what we are doing is absolutely key. So having the tool and making sure that data are available everywhere at all of it, it's like re-engineering the McDonald's model from local to global, but back to local as well. What does that mean for people locally? It's very important, and I wanted to make that point.
Thank you, Guillaume. Thank you very much. We are running very short on time, but if I could publish the results of the poll, if that's possible, let's see where people felt. Here we go. So in which business area do people want, crave the most? The IT support and the software support. Staff utilization came out top. So matching workforce resource and skills to volatile schedules got 43% of the vote, nearly half. And turnaround optimization was the closest in terms of most desired support function. Interesting. So we'll share those with you as part of the post-conference literature. I'm sure you'll be interested both to have a look at that as well. But interesting to see that volatility in schedules and the need to get the right people to the right place. Really important. Thank you both very much for your contributions. Guillaume, your talk of McDonald's is very timely because we're now going to break for lunch. And please enjoy your break now. If you're going on to meetings, then we wish you well and some productive discussions. We'll be reconvening after lunch in the conference room at 2:30 Eastern time. So please join us then. We will be hearing about our first of our COVID trailblazers comeback stories, a case study from Raul Barrera at Menzies Aviation. So join us at 2:30 for that one. For now, thank you very much to Paul and to Guillaume for their contributions, presentations and thoughts. Thank you both very much.
Thanks both, and thanks everybody.
Thank
you, have a good conference and stay safe.
Thank you.
Yeah,
all.
thank you, Max. All success. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you very much. And thanks everyone for joining. We'll see you at 2:30. Take care, have a nice lunch and see you then.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.